Test it.
Check.
Yeah. So, good morning, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Okay, we're gonna, if everyone who is standing could go ahead and find a spot. If you're here representing your tribal community, we have a spot for you in the front row. If you're here as part of the leadership team with Dr. Blakey, we have you over here on the left. I'm Phil Farson, the Senior Director for Indian Education here in Albuquerque Public Schools. Lieutenant Governor Suina from the Pueblo de Cochiti is going to start us off with our first words. He's going to say his prayer without the mic, and then he'll use the mic after that. So, so listen careful and close. Thank you.
Whoa. Now I can come this way a little more. Joo, saatsejo, sellakimme tapoputish, sanamme, sellakimme, team kuhue, tuossa jäänjänsä, se hiiva tuo kaunamme, kun kuinamme otosi. Kuutäf, että iuas katsutti nipuksi, että just noin, että hati testutusta, ja se juhnam hati testutusta, se huksuan chuppish main, että rauha seits pirikan tunne, kun rauha se pirikan se niina kukkusa. Juhnam hati testutusta, se rauha maak haua nute, hati testutus ima amu iuas, kun rauha se natumen testutus, kun rauha se nyusumis, hati testutus, ja otosi, että kohnamme otosi. New että hati testutusta, asilio hämme huisetta. Just noin, että hati testutusta, eitis naamatusta njää hämmensä hatsemme. Mutta mä se hopa, että naapatan hati testutusta, asute. Just noin, että sochuste awe chita pita chita future awe cha kurawa se future awe cha opa. Good morning, everybody. First off, thank you for having us today, and thank you for everybody being here today. As I said in our prayer, coming here with an open heart, open minds for the sake of our children. I just ask that we have a good day today, good discussions, and also for good outcomes, all for the sake of our children. And also pray that our children are safe in school. They learn, they grow as they attend school here at the Albuquerque Public School System. So again, just want to say thank you to everyone for being here today and for having us here as well. And just keep in mind that everything we discuss today or we share is for the sake of our children. I think they're one of our most important people that we represent as leaders of our community. So again, thank you for being here. Thank you for having us. And I wish everybody a good day, again, with great outcomes. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor. We also, speaking of youth and children, we have from our Indigenous Lifeway Center, our students who attend there also have a performance group, and they're going to perform us a few numbers for us now. Thank you, Mr. Williams, and if you can introduce your group.
Okay, great. It got really quiet there for a second. Let me tell you, like a pin could drop and you'd hear it. While they're getting set up, I'll just describe a little bit. My name is John Williams, Mr. Williams, and I really, really appreciate this opportunity to have my students present kind of like what they've been working on, you know, as far as a bonding activity, as far as a community building activity. I know that I should have brought my guitar stand. Man, look at these beautiful students here. I think this is what it's all about, right? I need some volume on this thing. Check. 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 Okay. Hey, there we go. All right, someone's listening. Okay, great. Yeah, my name, and then I want to also introduce, and I know we're going to try and get through this as quick as possible. I could go on and on and on about my students and about my coworker here, Miss Gorman over there, who's works right across the hall. We worked together last year. And one of the things that I really appreciate about Miss Gorman is that she's open-minded in terms of integrating art and culture into the curriculum every class, every day. You know, it doesn't take away from anything. As you can see, it gives them an opportunity to perform. And one of the things that in my group that I always, that is a part of it is the performance aspect. It's like, why do music? Why practice if you don't have a game in sports? You know what I mean? You just don't sit there and shoot shots. You get ready for something. And so that's what this is. So thank you. And the tribal leaders put on a little pressure here. You can see some of the tribal leaders seem to be looking younger every day. Or I'm getting older, one of the two, probably both. Okay, at this time, I'm going to pass the mic around and have my students introduce themselves, and then they're going to sing a couple songs. And these students, I will say that these students come from different schools, probably at least 6 different schools. And so I would say that there are a couple in this group right now that have never performed with the others before. So that's one of the tests, whether we're approaching this right, is if they can all sing together and dance together, okay? So let me go ahead and start down here. Introduce yourselves, and then we'll get ready to go.
My name is Kenneth Crook. I am a Navajo and Acoma, and Hopi and Havasupai.
My name is Jonas Smiley. I am Navajo.
Hello, my name is Jacoby. I'm Ho-Chunk, Navajo, and I forgot the other ones.
Yate she'e delena yazian she, hatsol neshle twa hane, bashishchin des chitni deshache, kisani deshanale.
Yate Elena Barton or Nishle Chachitni Nishle Hashglishni Betjeji.
Yat e she Aviana Red House Yanishya, Bitsatni Nishle, Tenzakina Bashichin, Hashklishni Dashache, Tsena Bitni Dashanele.
Yat Esh A Lozen Blackhead, Dashijane, Chishanishland, Hachini Bashichin, Maidish, Kishin Dashij, Batani, Dashanale, Twananes Dizidit Nasha.
Yat She Natviana Daji Nishe, Tobahe Nishle, Nakai Bazichin, Tloge Dashicheto, Nakai Dashnale, Albuquerque de Nasha.
Yate she'e Abigail Pfeiffer dashan jine, Tanizani nishe, Tochini bashachi, Bitatni deshache, Gahanani deshanele.
Yate she Deshangom Sodinishe. Nakai dene nishle, Tachini Bashishin, Kiani Dashiche, Nakai dene Dashanele.
Yate shite Tyler Bigay, Kloge Nishle, Bitatni Bashishi, Ashia Dashiche, and Satnajin Dashanele.
Yate she J Bonon Unishe, 200 Nishle, Do Wakanja Basichin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. All right. Grab that mic and just go. Where do you feel like it needs to go? We can get it. You guys ready? Pretty good. This last one is, we kind of kid around. We say it's Native American aerobics. So some of you guys out there and whoever wants to get up and join us on this last one, if you need a little exercise and a little movement, you can join them. All of these activities, you know, it may just seem like they're, you know, I know that when I was, you know, with my daughter, my mom made me take her to ballet lessons. And I was like, what? But, you know, that was one of the best experiences for her in terms of discipline and grace. You know, and that's a part of life too, you know, discipline and grace. So that's kind of like what we're working on here. So here we go. Anyone that wants to get up and move, you can. I know some of you are already have there. One, get those drums going, Naya Bingi. One, two, start moving. Just get that going. Body, whole body. What do you guys think? We'll have them do one more move and then we'll call it a day, huh? For us. Hey, they didn't even wait for me. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. All right, what do you think? Give it up. Pretty darn good, eh? Come on, you guys. Can't get them off the stage now. They love it. Yeah, I'm proud of these guys. You know, can you imagine going from a classroom to this, you know, and them sharing something, inspiration? Can you imagine these students around other kids? You know, that's one of the things I always justified my low numbers, is that when my students go out, their knowledge multiplies, sometimes 4 times. You take a look at some of those agendas of our events, and those students on that agenda all are learning from these students here. So, like, yeah, thank you guys very much. And we're going to head on. We have a nice little day plan for them. Nice little, and then Miss Gorman, yeah, I don't want to forget Miss Gorman here. Did you want to have anything?
Oh, yeah. I am very proud of my students. We're going to be going to look at a Long Walk Memorial where the Diné people stopped here in town. And then we're going to stop by the mural, Historic Women of New Mexico, that I did for the city of Albuquerque because I did studies of children of the Long Walk. And we will also be visiting the Hubble House today. So I am very proud of them. They also have been meeting. Many of them have been participating in the Native American Youth Leadership Council. They are planning a powwow on November 8th. So, and that will be here at Bonifacio, so you can put that in your calendar. And it's completely youth-run. The first meeting, I believe we had students from 6 different schools, and that's growing. So I'm very, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, students. Thank you, Mr. Williams. Thank you, Ms. Gorman. So we have quite a few things on our agenda we'll go over in a bit, but to lead us off with the next part, Dr. Blakey, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Farson, and thank you to all of the students for celebrating with us this morning. Thank you, and I hope you guys have a great day. It sounds like a lot of fun. So one more hand for all of our students who performed for us this morning. I worked with Mr. Williams at a previous school, and he was introducing me to some of the students who are the second generation of students we taught together back in the day at Highland. So it was great to see children of our students celebrating here this morning. So thank you all. It's great to be here this morning. Thank you all for joining us. I am the new superintendent of Albuquerque Public Schools, Gabriela Blakey. And I'm on a mission to reach out to all segments of our community, mostly because those kinds of interactions help me learn about the children we teach and how we can support them in the classroom. More to the point, I learn things that help us teach our students, and particularly our Native students, in a better and more efficient way. So let me give you an example of what I mean. About a month ago, I gave our first State of the District address, and I was pleased that so many people came here to Bonifacio to celebrate with us that morning. But what really struck me was the audience that I had a small breakfast before the event. Many tribal leaders came, many of the people in this room came, and many people asked me some of the best questions that I received all day. And they wanted to know what we, APS, could do to help our Native students and our families. And I've been thinking a lot about their questions, and more specifically, how APS and our Native leaders can work together, because that's where it all starts for our students. I fully understand that we have a long way to go, but I also know that you can't get anywhere until you take the first step, and that's what we're doing now. Our Board of Education has set goals for our district, which is a key element in how we do what we do with students that we haven't served well in the past. And yes, I am talking about our Native students that are in that group. Court decision or no court decision, we have to do better in teaching our Native students, giving them a firm educational foundation and allowing them to reach their full potential in ways that work for them, their communities, and their culture. And I believe that we need to do that holistically, listening to our students, our families, our tribal leaders about what those students need first and moving effectively in those directions to support them. And again, I know we have a long way to go, but with your help, I believe that we can get there for our students. We have a bit of good news to share. In our recent state assessment, our Native students from 3rd through 8th grades improved in English language arts and in math. They are small gains and a little small for my taste and probably yours, but seeing an improvement is very positive in what we can build upon for what's working for our youth. I see our next steps as using this gathering and other ways to learn, to recalibrate where we are and where we are going. We at APS are working to make a system-wide framework that will help guide us in our work to rethink and improve the way our classrooms teach our Native students. Key toward that is improving our relationships with tribal leaders and communities, but on a day-to-day basis. It also means providing real structures that matter for our youth, increasing access to Indigenous language for all students, offering real-world experiences, expanding career access, and creating a sense of belonging in our schools for our children. And for too long, our school systems, not just APS, have looked at education as if it's an individual sport. Classrooms were islands unto themselves, and school were islands unto themselves. And I don't see it that way at all. And from the input that I've received from some of you last month, neither do you. We have to work together because only as a collective and a team we can make this work. I know that you've reached out to me to do this, and I look forward to working with each of you. I also recognize it will not be easy. Great things never are. But I know that together we can do better for all of our students, and particularly those whose ancestors were the first people of New Mexico. Thank you so much for joining us to wrap around our children today, and I look forward to the discussions throughout the day. At this time, I'd like to welcome our Vice President of the Board, Vice President Tom Morito, and Board Member Dominguez to award a presentation to our Indian Education Department.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ronalda Tomorito, a board member, and then also my other co-partner here is Josefina Dominguez. Would also like to introduce another great board member from the west side of New Mexico, Priscilla Benali. Come on up. She serves on the Gallup-McKinley County School Board and has been there for how long, Priscilla? 10 years. And she's been a mentor and a great strength, especially for myself as I've come along to not only be the first Native American to ever sit on the school board, but to also have a strength of many people around me who helped me do this work. So I'm grateful to be here today. We all are grateful to be here today, but Priscilla's gonna introduce this great event that we're about to do here.
I'd like to introduce myself properly first. Priscilla Benali and Shia. Halton shlo ashit ni bashichin kia ani dashache bio dene dashanala nasha. And it was so nice to hear our native language here this morning by our youth. I introduced myself in Navajo because I think we need to continue to instill those values, and I'm so thankful for APS for continuing to do that. I sit on the Board of Education for Gallup-McKinley County School. I wrote everything down because there's a lot to mention, and I don't want to forget anything. So I like to thank my colleagues, the New Mexico School Board Association, my sisters here, Ronalda Tomi, Morito, and Josephine Dominguez as part of the APS School Board. And it says a lot to me that they're both here on this prestigious day. Also to Mr. Farson and to everybody here with the APS Indian Education. Would you guys all please stand? If you're a part of the APS Indian Education program. Every year, sister, can you hold that? Every year, I also am part of a committee. It's called the National Johnson O'Malley. It's a national conference that we do every year. So I represent Region 2, which is the state of New Mexico. I'm proud to be part of the organization that serves Native American students nationwide. The National Johnson O'Malley is comprised of 13 members, and each of us have a different region. Every year, the National Johnson O'Malley encourages our Johnson O'Malley members and schools to nominate a Teacher of the Year and an Exemplary Program of the Year. During this privilege, I had the privilege of connecting with the nominating party that recommended an APS Indian Education Department. Through the nomination committee at the national level, APS was selected. So congratulations to APS for 2024 Program of the Year for the National Johnson O'Malley Program. It was highlighted that the APS Indian Education Department continues to support the Indian Parent Committee and actively collaborates with local tribes. This ensures an ongoing service for Native students through careful planning, implementation, and evaluation of the program services. Additionally, all stakeholders are engaged through monthly meetings and consultations. I want to emphasize the significance of this award to you as tribal leaders here among us. This recognition recognizes the excellence in Indian education at the national level. Only 13 exemplary program awards are granted each year. Therefore, I extend my heartfelt congratulations to APS Indian Education for their outstanding dedication, commitment, and inspirational work. You are truly deserving of this prestigious award, and I want to plead with the superintendent, the assistant superintendents, please continue to recognize our children, continue to support them. You have two phenomenal board members that are here that will always talk on behalf of our children, and I ask of you, please support them. Talk with our leaders, get their input. You know, the IPP, I was telling my friend, is vital for us, and as Gallup-McKinley County board members, we were one of the leading plaintiffs on the Yazzie Martinez lawsuit because we saw the disparity that our at-risk children were facing. So I just want to mention that. I'm glad to be here to represent National Johnson O'Malley. I'm also a grandma here. I have children in APS. I have my grandbabies at Rio Rancho. So this is really important to me. So thank you. Yeah. So I guess they're all up here, and let me, or who do I give this to?
Okay.
And there's the award.
Here's the award. Give it to Phil. Phil, do you want Phil to say anything?
Give it to you. Speak.
Okay.
Where's the photo op?
Where's the photo?
Photographer.
Yes, all the Indian Education Program members, come on up. You guys earned this. I didn't need a mic.
Come in.
I'm loud enough.
Should we push over? Should we push over?
Okay.
I'll get over here. We'll get on the end.
Go, Phil. Okay, in the back?
No, I think
I'll be in the side. You be right here.
all right. Okay, like this? All right.
Handed it to you.
Okay, give it back to me. Oh, wait. There's more. There's more. Come on, Nick. Come on.
Thank you.
There you go. Can you get everybody? Do we need a squishin? Squishin, guys. Coming up.
Suck it in. One more.
Wait, get over here. I can stand in the back. All right, can we get everybody in?
Congratulations, sir.
Congratulations. Oh. Wait. One more time. Squeeze. Closer. Do you want to say anything? You got it.
All right.
So next year, I said I didn't need it. Next year, I want to see some nominations of Native American Teacher of the Year submitted to me. From your tribe, from the school, send them to me so I can recognize your outstanding teachers also. And a program. You want to nominate another JOM program. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Benali. There's been rumors of this for about a month now, and so thank you for coming all the way in to provide our staff this wonderful award. It truly is a great honor, and it's work that is collaborative work. It involves all of you, and we couldn't have done all the things we've done so far without your help. And we're looking forward to continued collaboration with all of you and to continue to grow the work that we do together. So thank you all. It's very moving. Thank you. I'll have to figure out how to do it. We have a slight change in the agenda. Acting Superintendent Roy Tracy for Navajo Nation. Their school board meets all over Navajo Nation, and I believe they're in Arizona today. Hopefully he'll be able to join us. He'd asked to say a few words on behalf of Navajo Nation, and so we'll try to get him on here. While we're doing that, this is a part of our program where we ask our tribal leaders to provide us an introduction of themselves and also some thoughts on their asks of us as a district and the work that we do on behalf of Native American students. Once we do that, we have some workshops today. We have 5 of them. 1, 2, 3. 3 of them will be here on this hallway. We have some really great things that are happening in our district. So we will have a workshop highlighting a little bit of that work. We also have a student who will also be doing a workshop, and really excited to see what she's able to do. She's been very active in our parent committee. Part of who we were recognized for has been having her as part of that. So I think those of you who join her in that workshop will have learned great things. I see Mr. Sandoval has brought a few students with him today. We have McKinley Middle School students with us today. To learn about how we do this work together. So we're really excited that our future leaders are here in the room with us today. And we also have a workshop and also a presentation later by the president of New Mexico Highlands University. I think it's New Mexico Poverty or Law and Poverty Center, and another will be talking about the Yaz Martinez case and where we're at on that. We will also have Dr. Moore here from New Mexico Highlands will also be talking about the Indigenous Knowledge Roadmap that they've been developing. We also have our attendance supports unit here to talk about some of the collaborative work we've been doing with them. They'll be doing a workshop on the back hall here. And then next to them, for those of you, and I would encourage you as a school leader, if you are trying to develop strategies for how you work in Indigenous practices and identity into your schools, to visit the workshop either in the morning or the afternoon session that will be presented by Chuck Charleston from NACA. We're really, it seems there may not be a clear theme to what we're doing, but the thing that you'll see, it's one of the handouts we have, is what we're really working on this year is the relationships that really make all this happen. And so we're spotlighting some of those relationships today in the workshop that we have. So we encourage you to, you get at least to choose 2. Unfortunately, for those of you who are joining us live stream, you will not be able to view those, but hopefully you will hear great things from your colleagues about what they learned today. And in there we do have lunch for y'all from Dion, so stick around for that. And then at the end of the day, we will gather back together in this room to talk, and we'll ask our tribal leaders then to provide us some final thoughts for our superintendent and her team about how you would like us to continue, really work on making this work systemic to how we work here in APS. With that, I'm going to pass the mic to, you get to say a few words again, Lieutenant Governor, and then pass the mic on down while I work on getting Mr. Tracy up.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone, again. My name is Jude Suina, Lieutenant Governor for Cochiti Pueblo. I want to start by thanking all the teachers, the APS staff, superintendents, in education for having us again today and for working with our children and taking care of our children. this year's administration in Cochiti, we put a big emphasis on our kids and continue to visit our children in Cochiti, at the Indian School, at the Bernalillo High. I know we don't have too many kids here at APS, but we are here to support them as well. So please, superintendent, teachers, schools, reach out to us if we can be of any assistance. And one of the biggest setbacks we've had after COVID was the truancy, and so we're working hard to tackle that with our education department, and we're thankful for them too. They're here in attendance today. Really thankful to them for reaching out to the schools and to inform us about today's Leaders Summit. Again, for the sake of our children, they are our biggest asset, for our future. So we like to just pray that they are safe at school. There's a lot of violence and unfortunate things that are happening. So I hope that you're taking every precaution to take care of our children. And like I said, if we can be of any help or resource in that, capacity, please reach out to us. We're here to help. We're here to support. And again, for the sake of our children, because we love our children and we love our people. So thank you again for having us today, and let's all have a good day. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Governor Joel Arcaro from Cochiti. Just to piggyback off what my brother said, we are here for our children. I know we don't have too many of them here in APS, but like he said, they are our children, and we do care about them very much. That's why we are here to represent Cochiti in this matter, and just continue the support from you all to the tribes and the communication within our tribal administration. If we can keep that going, I know we had a high like he was saying, truancy rate in other schools, but we want to keep on top of that. So thank you again for having this and inviting us. So I'll have a good day. Thank you.
Hopa, Hinmekia, Apanihanusuta, Kuchiteme Osuta. My name is Paul Herrera, and I'm a Lieutenant Fiscali from Cochiti Pueblo. I myself was involved in education for 45 years at the Santa Fe Indian School, so I know how tough it is. But we all have to work together, work for the kids, and everything should be done from the heart. And these kids are our future in all our communities, and their education as well is very important, culturally and academically. Thank you for all your help.
One more thing I want to do is acknowledge our education department, our director here, Sarita Arcaro, and Katrina Herrera.
Thank you, Governor. Yes, and if the rest of you could also acknowledge any of your staff that might be here.
Malcolm Bawikiti, I'm the tribal administrator for the Pueblo Zuni. I'm representing our governor, current governor. They're all spread thin, Governor Arden Kukati. I just want to really emphasize a couple of things. One is I'm looking at statistics. It's been flatlined for all these different cohorts, the 3 cohorts you report to. I'd like to challenge the district to say, let's get that up at least by 10%. We can't move anywhere unless we give a high benchmark. And if we give a hard benchmark, we all strive for that. So if we're shooting for mediocrity when we shoot for the stars, we know we're going to make a lot of improvements. I'm saying that because a lot of the school districts that are actually not part of APS, we're having a lot of problems, just trying to work with the school districts. So I want to really thank the Indian Education Board. A lot of the staff are here. I have 2 Zuni tribal members that are working with the APS School District, Ms. Ivana Romasitu, and I believe Bernard Chimani. Okay. But I want to actually emphasize that because we want to make sure that in the future, you groom our tribal folks that work within your organization to come back to the reservations and become the superintendents. So that's a challenge I want to get. The other side of that is, when I was growing up at the Gallup-McKinley County School District, Zuni Public School District didn't exist at that point in time. And a lot of us really took to heart that we need to excel. And a lot of times we forget the individual students that are really exemplary. And I want the program here to really focus on those exemplary students from the various Native American places you guys have. You have a lot of different tribes here. And you have the Navajo Nations, I believe Santo Domingo and Zuni are the largest segments within your student population. So I want to see a little bit more higher levels of accomplishment for those. And I think with the educational system, that'll be very good. The performances you saw, we want to see a little bit more integration of a lot of our Native traditional cultures in your core curriculum. So I'd like to see some of those in the future. So that's my comments. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Lieutenant Governor from San Felipe Pueblo. What I'm looking at, or our education department as well, is looking for statistics as well. You know, we've talked about, the governors has talked about truancy. We want some communication as far as how our students are doing, so we can do some intervention before they fall off the grid. So they can get assistance with tutoring and whatever is needed for their shortfalls. Again, just breaking down the barriers. I mean, it's hard for our Native students to succeed if they're not set with high benchmarks like the gentleman was talking about. You know, if we're shooting for mediocre, we're going to get mediocre results or less. So we need to challenge our students. Again, we are looking for students from our pueblos to lead the governments that we have in the future. So there's no way they can lead our people or tribes if they're not educated to a level to where they can explain it to the council members or tribal members if they're not at that level. So again, just the collaboration between APS and our education department. I'd like to introduce my education department here, Carla Moore, Dr. Carla Moore, Tisha Nelson, Quentin Candelaria, Assistant Director, and Sheldon Smith. Thank you.
Adrian Natsuna, President, Hickory Apache Nation. Thank you for inviting the nation to this summit. It's kind of tough at the first week of the month, because at our nation, that's our council week. And it's always tough to get away on that time. But we're fortunate we had our vice president to run the meetings for us, so I was able to sneak off for a little bit for this important meeting. It kind of reminds me of where we're all at in a place that we live in both areas, both worlds. Myself, I grew up with my grandparents. So I learned the language. That was my first language. When I went to school, English was my second. It was tough, wondering why things were being done back in the 60s. So I grew up in those times when you hear those stories about students being punished for speaking their language. Now we're working it toward teaching it. In 1979, when I graduated, I went to the Marine Corps. I did a 4-year term. When I came home, my mother called me into the house. I was wondering what was going on. What did I do? Am I in trouble? Because when your mother wants to speak to you, sometimes it's not good. Well, anyways, she sat me down at the table and she says, I'm going to ask you a question. So I said, okay. So what she asked me was, Hakushasin leokai tatin e. She says, what did I say? I said, when I think you're coming over, put some coffee on. And says, yes, you've been gone a while, but you still understand. Now get out of here. That's how we were raised. First language, never forget. It's a big part of who we are. It makes us who we are. The songs, the language, learning the language gives strength to the songs that we sing or the ceremonies that we do. If just singing it, just like another song, the power is not there. You have to understand the meaning to it. So the time when I was on the school board, a couple years back, one of the things that we looked at, what was brought up by my good friend of mine, Malcolm here, was that push the students. As a school board member, what we were working toward was myself being a civil engineer. I graduated from New Mexico State, along with another board member who's a mechanical engineer. So there were two engineers on the board back at home. So when we looked at the curriculum at New Mexico State, when you got a D in that engineering course, you failed. So what we looked at was to raise the grade system, get rid of the F. The D was now the F. Everything moved up. We were trying to challenge them. But that quick of a move was like a shock to them. So then we looked at it the other way, start at the bottom. Treat our students like Crimson Scholars. Instead of 20 questions, they get 25. They don't realize they're getting overloaded at the beginning. They were doing the work. The thing with that is a school board member only has 4 years to do these things. I'm not sure if it was still implemented. By the time people change seats, maybe that whole system went away. Another way that we were trying to work with it was a term called looping. Keep the students from the lower level, elementary level, and the same teacher as they move along. That way there's no catch-up at the beginning of the year. Do the same thing at the middle school. Once you get to high school, you should be able to move around. Get them used to that setting. So when they do go to college, that setting is there. All these little tools that are available. When you visit your Head Start programs, watch the young ones. What are they doing? They're building things. They're working together as teams. They're thinking like engineers already. Just reinforce that. It's another way of looking how we can move our young ones along. Get that alignment to where there is no need to figure out where they're at. So all my time that I've been growing up through the reservation system, graduating from high school at 17, going to the Marine Corps when I was 17, all I've done through my lifetime is try to help. I went to school to become an engineer because I wanted another way to help. I was a school board member, another way to help. I ran for tribal council. In 2014, I got in, did a 4-year term. After the 4 years, I ran for office again. I lost by 3 votes, 3 little votes. But it gave me time to think about what I can do to further help our people. So I applied for the teaching certification under the Language and Culture program. I got in. I was teaching at the high school level for 3 years as a cultural language teacher. My main goal was to teach math, but the way the PED looks at it, you have to have a master's. My degree in civil engineering was not enough to teach basic math. How does that system work? It needs to be updated. People want to help. Let them help. With still the guidelines of background checks and all the other parts that are needed. But there's a lot of things that we can do with you guys' help. I looked at the list. There's 77 students from Hickory that go to these schools. So it's good to see how things are being handled by the superintendent's introductory words. And it's always good to speak to the leaderships on this level, education side. There are times I was asked to speak at the beginning of the school year. The first thing I ask is, how much time do I have? I can speak all day, but we can move on to the next leader. Thank you, guys.
Quasi, kai tau hopatsi, straight rasks. Washin me, tika me, yaka kuchin shano, hapeni hana washti. Wato waika shait, tinient, yaptishum, just kumatek. Good morning, everyone. My name is Wendell Chino. I'm the First Lieutenant Governor for the Pueblo of Acoma. Happy to be here, and thanks for the invitation. I just wanted to stress that we need to have our Native students keep up with our culture, our traditions. I know there's some pros and cons for students that live in the city compared to our Native students that go to public school and live there on the reservation. A lot of the students on the reservation don't have that experience as a child here in the city would. So it's hard sometimes when they go on to college. There's that culture shock, I guess you would say. And some of them have a hard time. But, and then for the students that are here in the city, to actually go home for feast days, for our cultural activities, they miss out on that. And they miss that connection with parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, grandparents of our native language that's spoken in the homes. But I hope that we can continue to work together and work with the tribes individually. That way, because we're all different. We're not all the same. You know, there's 19 pueblos here, and including the Navajo Nation and Apache tribes. But we're all different. We're similar in ways, but it'd be nice if we could work with each tribe individually. And on the date, kind of going back to, I know it's fall, and culturally, we have a lot of cultural activities because of the different changing in the season. So that's why you might not see a lot of tribal leadership here. If you can work with the tribal leaders to find out specific dates, because our meetings, our schedules are like 4 weeks or more in advance already. But to set up a time where the Pueblos aren't busy with cultural activities, that'd be a plus for tribal leadership, the Pueblos, the nations. Just to give us that heads up would be great. And we can give you some dates and, times which probably would work out for most of us. And as tribal leaders, when we take on this role, we put our own families back and we take all our people as our children. And so as tribal leadership, we try to attend, especially me, I try to be there for our native children from Acoma. Because we care about their well-being, if they're doing good in school, if they're going to be on track to graduate, making sure they're attending school and not getting into trouble. We do have advisement days, and we've been taught from a young age to get any advice you get, even if you're an adult, you respect that person that's giving you that advice. And so it's always good to get any advice you get. It's not to get mad at the individual, but to steer them in the right direction. And this is kind of our traditional ways of teaching our children and to stay on a good path, the right path. So with that, I don't want to take too long also, but thank you for the invitation here. Tawa.
Tawa. Kuazi haupa mai makai tatawa kai straight Washington Agua Ayorant. Second Lieutenant Governor Ted Ortiz from Acoma. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you, Superintendent Dr. Blakey. Thank you for your attendance here as well. Thank you for addressing some of the things that APS is going to work on as far as different tribes here. There are many pueblos here as well, and tribes and nations as well. So make sure you do reach out to those different pueblos. I do want to address some of the things that my brother did already mention. As far as our culture calendar, he's right on that. Not only, I mentioned again, there's different pueblos, tribes, and nations, but make sure when you reach out to them, you address their culture calendar as well. That way, you're not in a situation where you're planning events when other things are going on with our different nations and tribes. But just make sure you do reach out to our students. For those that are here in attendance here at APS. I know Bernalillo is a big county here, but most of our students are back home in Cibola County with the Grand Cibola County schools. But nonetheless, wherever they are, just make sure you give them the tools, the resources that they need, because we are looking forward to them as far as being the next leaders here in our positions and as well as your positions as well. So, we do mention to them as far as to reach the highest goals that they possibly can achieve. I'm glad that some of the students are still hanging around here, and we do appreciate the other students that have left there with their performance as well, because again, it was mentioned culture. Culture does make an impact as far as school is concerned, not only just within the academics, but as far as athletics and the other outside programs. Language is another vital component or compartment to this, component, should I say. I was fortunate myself to
speak our native Keres language. I always address it myself as that as my first language, then English is my second language. And I was fortunate that when I went to school at UNM, that's what they accepted. They wanted me to take Spanish or some other foreign language. I said, English is my foreign language, so that's how I got through my classes. So I was appreciative at UNM for addressing that with me. Some of the other things I wanted to mention again, we do mention again, there's different Pueblos, tribes, and nations. So Pueblo, certainly Pueblo of Acoma, we do welcome you to come and visit our community back home at Sky City. And do reach out to the schools programs. I know it was mentioned. No, we do have our staff here. Our Marcelino is our education director here behind me, and Erlinda Concho is one of our other staffers as well. So do reach out to them and work with them as well regarding any of our students. Along with our, I think Wes Corbin is on hand as well, one of our staffers back home. It was mentioned already earlier that he was part of the presentation here. Just make sure you find that balance, not only at the tribal level, but at the state level and certainly at the federal level. We do have one of our other community members that is with BIE at the state level, Katie Ann. So work with her as well. That's another resource there. So other than that, again, I don't want to take up too much time and give the other individuals opportunity, but thank you. That way.
Say up get the Josh. Okay, here me to you, Kayo Shash Hanu, or Shash Gawashti, or the next year, Tapu, Paimai, or Goik Juno, or Tana, these Ya, or Gehinometi, with the Goatikaya, Geha Maima, or Shesh, and Ya Kunitsai election, or Shesh, Hopa Dik Ayute. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jeff Gaku. I'm the head fiscali for the Pueblo of Laguna. Governor Herrera is not able to make it, as it's been mentioned. Schedules are pretty tight, especially at the end of the year, trying to get everything finished up and set for the next administrations coming in. So he's not able to attend. So I, along with, I have Office of Laguna Learning, the Office of Laguna Learning, Miss Monica Whitmore with me. Petra Solomon, Miss Petra Solomon, I don't think she's here. She was supposed to be the other individual here. She helps manage our Partners for Success program that is housed under our Laguna Department of Education. Again, first of all, thank you for the invitation. Several questions, but I was looking at your agenda, and it looks like this afternoon we have discussion addressing priority needs with district leaders and tribal leaders. We already have a couple of questions that we want to address, but as like many have said, I'll use this as an example. Laguna Department of Education has recently adopted a cultural calendar. And with that comes at least 2 to 3 Fridays out of the month. They give the students not a day off, but they bring the students in and they're trying to introduce the language. They're trying to use the fields. I know it's harvest season now, so they're taking the students out into the gardens and introducing them to what we used to do a long time ago, before we became integrated with the rest of humanity, I guess you could say. And that's one of the questions that we have, is the type of cultural offerings for not only for the Pueblo students, but for the Navajo, and to include all the students, because we live in a state that's really rich with culture. And we have Native American, we have the Hispanic community, and these two communities have been really closely tied to one another for a long, long time. And so at least with Laguna, they're working that aspect and trying to integrate community members and coming in to help assist with the Culture Day program. It goes back to what was mentioned in regards to feast days. If the feast day falls in the middle of the week, the students are allowed to participate, because that's part of who we are and a part of learning who they are. And it includes the language, it includes stories, it includes reminders. And I'm glad it was touched on. No matter how old we get, we're always reminded, no matter who it comes from. And we have to sit there, or we should sit there, show the respect, and listen to what's being said, because we can take tidbits from here and there that help down the road with what we're trying to accomplish. And for us, looking at the paperwork, and it was mentioned earlier, Laguna has the highest number of Pueblo students in attendance in APS. I was approached by Mr. Naranjo, he's in a room somewhere, in regards to establishing a language program for the Pueblo of Laguna here within APS. Looking through your website, or at least APS website, you do offer Zuni and Navajo. You also offer government classes. You also offer a variety of different courses. And reading through the material on the website, you talk about how you educate some student or the native students on how the government works. And it's crazy because at the federal level, that's always changing. You hear a lot of rules, and sometimes you don't even hear any rules that are being voted on and allowed to be introduced to the government, which then leaves the rest of America out. I say all of America because there's laws that are passed that affect each and every one of us. There's laws that are passed that affect different nationalities. So trying to keep on top of that is a challenge. When you're, I guess I'll say this. So in the class that you offer here, it'd be interesting because it was mentioned there's several tribes within New Mexico, and their structure is each different. So how then do you integrate that into that particular class when you have 19 Pueblos, 2 Apache nations, and the Navajo Nation? Because each government runs itself a little different. So that I see as a challenge already for that particular class in general. Just looking at the website, and is again. And I guess another question is this summit going to be considered tribal consultation? The reason I ask because it's by law that we have to have tribal consultation, and if this is going to be considered tribal consultation, then we probably are failing because we don't have all representatives from all the tribes here, and it goes back to making sure we set this particular event up for all tribes to attend, so that way we're in line with the tribal consultation process at the state level. It goes back to what was mentioned, Martinez-Yazzie case, and dealing with all that stuff. Again, just like the others, we could go on in regards to a lot of items regarding education. And lately, for me personally, I know we have a lot of students here in Albuquerque, tribally as a whole, all the tribes. A lot of people are stressing for them to go get educated and come back home and help us. For me personally, the way I've been thinking about it is have them stay out there, get educated, so we can go to them to help us. So a perfect example, somebody goes, gets an MBA, becomes the COO of, I don't know, Johnson & Johnson. And one of the tribes needs help here. How then do we access Johnson & Johnson? If we have an individual who's Native American sitting in that position, we can then attack that Johnson & Johnson and get whatever we need. Strategically thinking, not only for Native Americans, but people in general, because you look at the stats, and unfortunately, parents come to us and rely on tribal leaders to go to you guys to help fix the problem, when in all reality, it should be a partnership, side by side. So one of the questions is how then do we engage parents to come in and be active? The last session I attended here was in the spring, I believe, and there was an individual talk, and that's one of our questions, children with disabilities. And he was being an advocate for I believe his daughter or his son. And it was regarding music, if I remember correctly. But how then do we start to not only Native parents, but the parents in general? And the bummer thing is social media, that's a downfall in reality. But at the same time, how can you use that as a tool to help educate everybody, not just Native students? So again, we could go on forever and ever in a day in regards to education. This just one item being dealt with, at least from a tribal government point of view. But again, just want to thank you folks for the invitation. Looking forward to a productive day and see where and how we move forward in a positive manner for everyone, for all the students. So thank you, appreciate it.
So Superintendent Blakey, just a couple things, and then I think we'll try to briefly have a few others here at the table introduce themselves. First thing, it was mentioned about numbers and each individual tribal community. I don't have it on this one, but the numbers don't tell, if you just look at a straight number, it doesn't tell the full story. Often, for every New Mexico tribe, there's no tribe in New Mexico that has less than 5% of their students here in APS. And the majority of them you average around 20% of your students are here in APS. And then I think it's Laguna and some of the others, it's more like 30, even 40% of your students are here in APS. So we need to think about this a little bit differently because our tribal partners here are hugely invested in APS, and we need to figure out how we can support them. So there's that. I do want to refer everyone to if you haven't gotten a folder, we have folders. And in there, we do have a data sheet that gives you a general overview. There is also the list of tribes that we have here. And just a very brief overview of what's called our systemic framework that we're required by law, and that we're hoping you will help us here as we revisit that to make sure that we set our priorities right and that we have a framework that really is addressing the needs of your students here. So there's that. The calendar piece. So Johanna, I think one of the things we probably need to work on is how do we know we're going to do this next fall, so let's make sure that we do it in a way where we as it's been asked, that we make sure that everybody's calendar is addressed, because we do go and we go on the major websites and we do look to see what's publicly available, but then there's things that some of those websites don't contain, like there's an event that happens tomorrow. The only impacted tribe that is listed is Nambe, but that is not true. Acoma is also affected, and others. And so we just need to be really intentional about how we calendar these things out. And that's going to that next level in terms of really partnering with you all. We are always welcome the opportunity to consult individually as well as in this larger group. And so we do, if you haven't reached out, or we'll try to make a point to make sure that we reach out to you, or but please do we are always happy. Other than a food budget, the other thing I have is unlimited mileage in my APS vehicle, and so we often hop in and we go. And so we're always happy for a road trip. I've learned recently, unfortunately, Acting Superintendent Roy Tracy from Navajo Nation, he is in, I think it's called Bird Springs, Arizona. And for whatever reason, Bird Springs does not have good internet. So he was not able to join us to speak. But we learned when we met with the Department of Diné Education and his team that if we had been able to have along with us representation at a higher level from our district, that we would have also have met with the entire Navajo Nation School Board and their leadership, the president and his cabinet. So it's really important that we're mindful in our partnerships how we go about this, and please, we do welcome any feedback you have so that we can get better at this. I think with that, we do have a few brief introductions here at the table, but I just did want to acknowledge everyone else that's here in the room. We do have several other tribal education departments who are represented here. I know you're not officially authorized to speak on behalf of, but if those from the other tribal education departments could raise your hands, and people can see that you're here in the room. And we do thank you all for being here. We also have other members of our district leadership who are not here at this table. If you could raise your hand or stand up or show us that you're here. We have, there they are, right in the back there. They hide far in the back. Okay, and then we also invited site administrators, principals, assistant principals to also be here, because as we do this work, it's important that not only those of us here at this table hear from you, but also our leadership at our schools. So those of you who are representing your school here, if you could raise your hand, kind of give us a wave out here. All right, thank you all for being here. I think you saw earlier, we have several members of our Indian Ed staff here. We also have our Indian Parent Committee here represented. And we have, and then if our community partners from the various organizations here in Albuquerque and around, if you could give us a wave. All right, okay, thank you. We have so much talent, so many resources here in Albuquerque, and we want to make sure that we get better at what we do together. So thank you all for taking the time to come here, even with all the scheduling conflicts you had to address to be here. But if you would, board members, if you could briefly introduce yourself, and then we'll go to our breakout sessions.
Okay, I haven't introduced myself yet. So my name is Courtney Jackson. I'm an Albuquerque Public Schools board member. I represent District 7, and I will be very brief. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I am taking my advice from the tribal leaders. I am going to sit and listen and pick out the pieces of information that are important, but I truly am just here to sit and listen and observe and gain the knowledge that you have to give to us. So thank you so much, Mr. Farson, for inviting me. I appreciate the opportunity to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity to just engage. So thank you so much. Did you guys already?
Okay. I'm Josefina or Josie Dominguez. I also am a board member, District 6, which includes Manzano High School, its feeder schools, Sandia High School and its feeder schools. I'm honored to be here. And one piece of what I took from listening today is the importance of tribal consultation. And I think the Board of Education has a role to play there, to be in direct contact with the governors and elected leaders of various tribes. So I look forward to more conversation about that as we talk about outcomes for our children.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Ronaldo Tomorito, and I know majority of you in here, and you know my journey. And I would just like to acknowledge my relatives. My great-great-grandmother, Maria Beta, walked the long walk of our Navajo people in 1863 at 7 years old. She returned and made it home, but was an orphan. And during 1918, both of my maternal and paternal grandmothers, both lost their families during the 1918 influenza, and they became orphans. My mother in my father went to Rehoboth boarding school, got the knock on the door at 7 years old, and the missionaries took her and put her into boarding school. My father was the same way, but went to Ignacio boarding school. And my story is not one, is of everybody's story. But I'm also here not to listen, but also to recognize that I am a grandmother and auntie, and I am sit up here as representative of all our children. But I also am here to remind us that this world is getting a little chaotic right now. And we have to resolve and remember, as adults in this world, we are protectors of our children, first and foremost. Whether we do it through our songs, our dances, our languages, that is our role. And I've been a strong advocate for 26 years for our children with disabilities. And that is the voice that has been silenced. And many of our parents who have disabilities have also been silenced. Remember them as you do your walk and whatever you do, remember those thoughts in your head. If we do for the least, the great will become greater. I am here to listen. I am also here when I hear your words to also take action. Any way I can be that road, that listening ear, but I also want to be to shift the button here and to shift change, because that's what's going to require as we move forward. And I know everyone here cares for our children, but we got to do it a little differently. And we need each other in order to do that. I'm here, and I worked hard to be here, but there's a great responsibility for that. So if you need me, call me, come up to me, whatever it takes, we got to shift this. So thank you all from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
So I guess I'll go ahead and stand up. You reminded me of one more story about learning, my own journey in learning about the difference in tribal governments. I still remember the former director of IndyNet. One day we scheduled a meeting to go to Laguna, and she said, Phil, and it was to meet with the staff officers. And she said, Phil, that's a staff meeting, so you just go by yourself. When you actually meet with the tribal leaders, or when you set that up, let me know and I'll go too. And it's like, something feels off about this, because I don't think staff officers means office staff. It must mean something else. And so, and then I looked and I saw, oh, that's the tribal council, basically. The leaders from all the 7 communities of Laguna are going to be at this meeting. So instead of having one thing to prepare, I had to have several. And I still remember the tribal secretary. So I did my presentation and I sat down. And then he passed me a little note that said, stand back up. Because it was not appropriate for me to sit. And so every one of you has your different ways of doing things. It's unique. And it's very important that we, my hope is as we do this together that I'm not the only one that knows these things, but it's something that's common knowledge amongst all of our leaders here in the district of how we work together with all of you in unique ways. With that, we do have our breakout sessions. Remember, this is a tribal leader consultation, so we ask that in these sessions, tribal leaders, tribal education department members, they are given priority in terms of questions and giving opportunity to speak. For the rest of us here, our primary role here is to listen and to learn. And so we're elevating the voices of our tribal partners here today. So as we do these breakouts, please keep that in mind. With that, we do have the 5 breakout sessions. Right here through that window will be Kaylee Bahi with her presentation that is entitled the community, honoring our future leaders, policy to classroom. Right out these doors, the first breakout rooms you'll come across there will be Dr. Rebecca Moore with the New Mexico Highland Indigenous Knowledge Roadmap as an act of social justice, assessing the post-Yazzie case ruling. In the breakout sessions, room 102AB, over there will be one of our staff members, Shannon Romero, who will be doing a presentation on community engagement, honoring traditional knowledge systems and intergenerational knowledge sharing. Here around past the pastries and the coffee and the fruit, if there's still any left, in room 111, there will be the 6 degrees of attendance. Our attendance support unit team will be leading that presentation. And then in the room adjacent to them here in the back, in room 112 will be Chuck Charleston from NACA, who will be presenting on creating space for indigeneity in your school. So you're welcome to go wherever you choose. If the room, we do ask though if the session is full that you try one of our other sessions. There'll be a second repeat of all 5 sessions in the afternoon. So if you miss in the morning, you get a chance in the afternoon. With that, I think we'll give everybody about 5 minutes to do a breakout, take care of business, and give our presenters a chance to set up. Thank you.